Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So they're back with a Ezreal supplementary guide, and it's gonna be a pretty interesting one because it's gonna be AP Ezreal, excuse me. So it's gonna be AP Ezreal, as you guys can see here. Now, originally, I played this a lot when I was auto-filled to mid lane, because obviously you gotta play something AP in the mid lane, and I can't really play mages very well, so I just play AP Ezreal. But we've also played it in the bot lane, as you'll see in the gameplay later on. So let's take a look at the items, runes, and spells, right? So first off, of course, with the AP build, Boots of Mana is a no-brainer. You get a ton of AP at the beginning. You get Magic Pen, and you now also get bonus damage against minions, right? Which is always going to be helpful. And then for the first item is going to be Lich Bane. Now, if you guys remember, I actually used to go for a Mana Immune start on the AP build. I actually don't think that's that good anymore because I feel that just going for burst damage is just going to be the best way to go, right? So we have Lich Bane. A ton of AP, not a ton, but a decent amount of AP, Ability Haste, Magic Pen, and of course, very importantly, Spellblade. Now, Spellblade is going to proc automatically on your Q. If you go for like a WE auto, it's going to proc on the auto, of course, and just helps you output a lot more damage. And then for the second item, we're going to go for Infinity Orb. Now, Infinity Orb, of course, gives you Ability Power, Magic Pen, Flat Magic Pen, and Percent Magic Pen, as well as, of course, critting onto champions who are below 35% health. Now, of course, it's very useful for finishing off low HP targets and just a very strong AP item in general, right? And then, of course, third AP item, pretty standard, is always going to be Death Cap. Just boost your AP by a ton. So if you guys remember, we used to actually go for Awakened Soul Stealer after Death Cap, right, to get yourself back the lower cooldown and ability haste and movement speed, right? But now we have Malignance. So Malignance is actually just better because obviously with the Awakened Soul Stealer, you did have a lower cooldown on your W and your E for the most part. It was pretty good. But I feel Malignance is better because you get to spam your ulti more. You get more ability haste. You get AP, and you get the ultimate ability haste as well. And you can just launch your ultimates very, very often and deal a ton of damage. Because with an AP build, your ultimate actually does a ton of damage, right? And then lastly, you just go for Crown for the safety, right? If you don't want Crown, of course you can go for, Cosmic Drive, you can go for Riftmaker, you can go for Awakened Soul Stealer, it kind of depends on what you want. But I honestly feel that by the time you get to this point, you deal more than enough damage. You don't need any more like AP damage items, right? Just going for Crown is going to be a lot more helpful in general. So with this build, it's full burst, so you want to go for First Strike, which is especially strong in the mid game, gives you, of course, the bonus damage and the bonus gold. Again, when you hit like 2 items or so, it's gonna be when this starts paying dividends and giving you a lot of gold and damage. And then you have sudden impact because you are gonna shift forward for damage a lot, and this is gonna just boost your damage, right? Then you have empowered attack, just to get that extra auto attack damage here and there. And here I actually go for Zombie Ward, which is a bit of a risk in solo queue. You will see in the game later that I don't actually manage to fully complete the Zombie Ward, but the reason why Zombie Ward is really good is because you actually get extra AP/AD when you stack it up, and of course in this case it's going to be AP. And of course Gathering Storm is one of the best options when you're going for AP because you get a lot of free AP just for doing nothing basically. And then for the spells, Flash and Cleanse is going to be the most common. If you don't need Cleanse, you can go for Exhaust or Barrier. But with that said, now let's move on to talking about the gameplay. Alright, so let's take a look at the gameplay itself. Of course, this is going to be a pretty exciting one. I mean, honestly, personally for myself, when I consume Wild Rift content, I'm the most excited when I see a kind of unique build or like a not very standard build. And this is definitely not a very standard build, right? In my opinion, I came up with this build myself. I didn't copy it from the top players. I didn't copy it from anyone else. I kind of play tested a lot of versions of this build, not in the 6.1 like series, but I think it went in the 6.0 bunch of patches. I tested a lot of different variations of the build, and that's kind of where I made my previous AP Ezreal video. As we get into intense fight in the early game, I'm just focusing the Varus here because he's of course the squishy ADC. I managed to flash forward and get the kill onto him. Pyke now really low as well. I'm gonna hit a max range Q onto the Pyke and kill him before his Grey Health comes into play, and we start the game off with a juicy double kill. So as I was kind of alluding to earlier, I play tested a lot of AP Ezreal builds, and eventually I settled on the build of Lich Bane into Infinity Orb, Death Cap, and then into Awakened Soul Stealer and Crown. But then of course, with the addition of Malignance in 6.1, I thought I initially thought that Malignance may not be that good of an item for Ezreal, because Ezreal is not a typical ult-dependent champion, which he really isn't. However, with the AP build and how much ability haste you have, and how Ezreal ult is actually pretty decent in terms of damage, I realized that actually going for Malignance is probably better than going for, what's that called? Going for Awakened Soul Stealer. So I actually felt that this is better, and I've played with Malignance quite a number of games. As I mentioned, I do play AP Ezreal mid a couple of times, and in this game, I had no AP on my team. Of course, you can see Amumu, Yasuo, as well as Poppy are all AD champions. Nami is AP, but she is a support, so she doesn't really deal very good AP damage. And on the enemy team, you do have tanks like Mbessa, and you're going to get hard countered by Mbessa building just armor if you don't have AP on your team, which is why I basically went for an AP Ezreal build. Now, I was initially planning to play AD Ezreal, but with the circumstances, we had to go for that AP build. Right, so here you can see we're doing a ton of damage. We're forcing Pyke to flash, and now the enemy team have completely no summoner spells in the bot lane, and myself and Nami, we still have cleanse and heal, so it's a pretty huge combat advantage. Amumu is now coming in at a really nice angle, looking for a gank or whatnot, but yeah, Varus is gonna be able to escape. However, he does buy us some time to work on the tower. Thankfully, though, he does not cut the wave and deny us all the minions. I believe he took 1 minion, but I guess that's fine. So we are able to get like 2 plates here, and we're gonna get the next wave as well. Of course, the enemy team is gonna get back to lane real quickly, and with those plates and kills and stuff, we are gonna go back and get more items. Right, we have already completed our boots, but as has Varus, we're about double Varus's goal. Right, we're gonna get the Sheen and the Ether Wisp. Of course, Sheen is a very, very strong laning item. Getting the extra spellblade damage is no joke. Also, we've already hit level 5. Nami's pretty close to level 5, whereas Varus and Pyke are not, right? So we do have a window to fight them here, as we get a 2-man ulti onto them, as well as to on the wave to kind of clear the wave. 46 gold from first strike there. However, they are kind of just running away, so we can't really look for a fight here onto them. Both of them did get hit by the ult though, so I'm not quite sure where they went. I guess they have completely recalled. Looking at the replay too, you can see their health bars are now full. So I think they have actually completely recalled and yeah, just not bothered to fight us at all, which is, I guess, understandable. But as a result, my ult is already halfway or more than halfway off of cooldown. Pyke and Varus have finally hit level 5, so this is where we want to be cautious, right? One of the very common mistakes you can make when you're ahead is to play overly aggressive when you are ahead, right? So there I used a full combo onto the Pyke, but now we can see Lee Sin here, so we want to be backing off a little bit. At the same time, we don't want to back all the way off, because Amumu is kind of in the area. Yasuo is also kind of in the area. Here, Pyke takes a ton of damage. I tried to ult the Pyke, but it ends up not working. Instead, damage goes down onto Lee Sin. Pyke and Varus are trying to just run away. Pyke's probably in that bush there. There he is. Hooks Nami. But nothing really comes of it, right? Nami does not get hooked into tower. She's pretty safe. Eats a Varus Q though. Takes quite a bunch of damage. Here now, Yasuo and Amumu, if they can come and dive them, that would be amazing. But it doesn't really look like that's what's happening. Here, yeah, Yasuo does go ahead and dive. Gets the ult onto the Pyke. We also go in together with him. Now we're 2-0-2. Diana now coming in with the ulti for the kill. And we are getting a little bit of damage down onto the Diana. Amumu walking back to safety. Here we dodge Diana's Q. Amumu looks like he's going back in. We hit the W onto Diana. We're able to go in for the one shot. And unfortunately, even though we are able to flash away from the Pyke ulti, the tower shot has already locked on. And it ends up getting the kill onto us. And Pyke gets our shutdown, which is probably better than Diana getting our shutdown, considering how Diana is already fed herself. But we get Diana shutdown instead. So I think overall that's a pretty positive trade. You know, we get her shutdown, Pyke gets our shutdown. And we both have 3 kill shutdowns here. And you can see at this point, because of the amazing start we have the most gold in the game by a country mile. Right? We're 1k ahead of the Diana, who's the next most fed member of the game. Right, so we're in a very sweet spot where we're kind of snowballing with the AP build. Of course, we're going to hit our item spikes faster, and it's probably just going to work out way better for us. Right here, Pyke is getting completely caught out, but I'm not going to shift in because I'm expecting a number of people to be at the dragon from the enemy team, right? So we don't want to play overly aggressive and end up getting caught out and just dying, right? That would be really bad. So here we're back to working on the tower. Another thing about the AP build, by the way, guys, is your tower damage is whack, right? Like with the W prop on the tower, as well as combined with the Lich Bane, proc, the damage you do onto towers is insane. You'll see in the later stages of the game, right here, Pyke tries to go in, gets completely smacked in the chops, and has to run away. Varus also in a little bit of danger, but not a lot, right? Here we managed to secure the tower, just tanking a little bit of it. And I believe that's the first tower of the game, right? We do secure first tower of the game. And with that, we can reset, get items, and hopefully be able to rotate to other places around the map. Now, I say hopefully because it's your job to kind of take care of your own waves, right? So if the Varus pushes out the wave really quickly, that would mean that we have to kind of go back there to defend the tower because we don't want to give him free tower plates, right? He still has a minute left to take free tower plates. However, instead of fights happening in the river here, unfortunately my Yasuo is dead. But this means that now I can take over mid lane and hopefully get access to this mid lane tower and its plates. Pyke, not even close to hooking me. I'm not sure what he's doing. Unfortunately, W goes onto Pyke instead of the tower, which I really did not want. Here Pyke tries to go in, but honestly Ezreal kind of semi-counters Pyke with the ability to arcane shift away from his hook and his dash as well. Especially the dash, really difficult to land the dash onto the Phantom Undertow onto us. Now here we went back to take fruit, and Nami got a one-shot by Diana. The good news about that is Diana used ult and ignite onto Nami, right? So she has a lot less kill threat onto me. So here Yasuo seemed reluctant to rotate down, right? So I was going back onto the rotation down to bot lane, but Yasuo actually does end up going bot lane eventually, and we're gonna be able to stay mid lane and hopefully either farm plates or at least protect the tower, right? No plates anymore because the plates have fallen. So here we just clear the wave. We're gonna reset, and I believe we have enough to get the Infinity Orb. There we go, and we also have an extra M Tome in our pocket as well. Now here Yasuo ends up taking the red buff, which is a shame because obviously we are 2k gold ahead of him and anybody else. So having red buff on ourselves would have been way better than having red buff on the Yasuo who isn't doing as well as I am. In fact, he is kind of dying to Diana, which is why Diana's kind of a hit. But here, Varus is now whacking our tower. We're going to ult down to bot lane, using the ult to clear the wave, ensuring he cannot get the tower. Now, I do suspect he's in one of these bushes recalling, so I'm trying to make my way there and kind of see if I can spot him out. Now, if he was recalling in the bush close to me, he got away with it because I didn't check that bush, but he appears to not have been in the bush that's further away from me. Anyways, here we're just going to push out the lane, and you can see a fight is kind of breaking out in the topside river. So we're going to make our way there. As our lane is already pushed out. Now on the way we'll meet the mid lane as well, so the fight doesn't actually end up happening, right? So here I'm just hovering because I'm waiting for my team to come to make a play. Here Nami and Yasuo are now in, and Lee Sin's kind of getting caught out. Here you can see we one-shot him. Look at that burst combo, by the way. There's the full Ezreal burst combo with 2 full AP items. Imagine when we get Death Cap and even more items, right? That's going to be even more insane. So now with that kill, we can try to push in the mid lane a little bit. Now Diana's still trying to defend her tower. However, we just want to basically dodge her Q. Unfortunately, she hits Nami with the Q. I'm trying to get the kill, return kill on her. But unfortunately here, I try my best to dodge the Varus arrow, trying to dodge left and right. But I get hit by it. Eventually, Varus ends up picking up the kill onto me. And yeah, here we're just buying a bunch of M tomes and building toward Death Cap. It's going to be huge when we get to that Death Cap. We're already doing a lot of damage, and we're going to be doing even more when we get to that point. Meanwhile, another fight breaks out in the mid lane, and it's a messy one. Yasuo goes in. Diana left on 1 HP. I try to ult straight down the mid lane, but it doesn't end up hitting anybody. And now I'm making my way to the fight with Poppy at about half HP. I'm trying to maybe cancel recalls, but nothing really happens. We are trying to maybe get this mid lane tower. Hopefully we can get this mid lane tower at least. But the Ocean Dragon has spawned. That's the second dragon of the game. I don't really care about dragons too much, but we'll see if we can look for a fight there. Now, unfortunately, Nami and Poppy are both opposite sides of the map from dragons, so it looks like a pretty free dragon for the enemy team if they want it. Now here Pyke gets the stun onto me, gets a lot of damage actually, and looks like he might just get the ult on. I think Nami saved my life there with the heal, because I think I must have been I'm pretty sure I was in execute range of the Pyke there, because if Nami didn't heal me with the W, I do believe I would have been executed by the Pyke. Regardless, now we've gone back to base. We have both Death Cap components pretty close to Death Cap. We're gonna go ahead, take that gate, get the red buff, and help our team out with Dragon. In the meanwhile, Mbessa is split pushing the top lane. Very logical thing to do. Here we try to ult the Dragon together with some enemies. We end up hitting no enemies, but only the Dragon. Now here I'm being sure to be safe here. Huge ulti goes in from the Amumu. And now we're just trying to take out the rest of the enemy team, right? So we've basically killed most of the people. Yasuo picks up a double. Lee Sin goes down as well. It's a 1v1 with Mbessa versus Poppy in the top lane. Poppy is a hard counter to Mbessa because she blocks Mbessa's dashes. However, they're both really, really low. Amumu now coming in to try to salvage the situation. Mbessa flashes away. Looks like she's not getting away though. You can see Amumu running her down. Yasuo now on the way as well. Amumu finally gets the kill onto the Mbessa. Yasuo kind of wastes his time going up there. And here I get almost one shot by Diana. I dash out of her ulti. But she just follows me and ends up just murdering me, which is pretty unfortunate, right? Honestly, I did consider the fact that she might have been waiting for me. But I was like, you know what? I have flash and E. I should be fine. I did E away, but didn't flash away because I didn't think she could get to me. But with the E reset, she was able to reach me and unfortunately able to kill me. Now, speaking of kills, she's trying to now kill Poppy. But Poppy is actually able to escape. Now here, funnily enough, me and Dinah have like the exact same build, right? We've both gone for Lich Bane into Infinity Orb, now going into Death Cap, right? So she should have Death Cap. There we go. She did complete the Death Cap on the recall. So we're basically, even in terms of build and in terms of goal, right? Both going for those one-shot builds to kind of one-shot the enemy team. Of course, I'm going for Malignant Things. I'm not sure if she's going to go for that because Malignant seems like a pretty good Dinah item, right? Dinah is a pretty huge part of her kit, right? So here, I was trying to one-shot her, but why did my E hit a minion instead of her, right? I thought I had the W on her, I thought I would one-shot her, but I end up E-ing a minion instead, and then she one-shots me right after, which is no real surprise there, right? Because basically in this kind of burst matchups, it's whoever bursts the other one first kind of wins, right? In this case, I tried to burst her, but it didn't actually work, so she burst me instead. That's pretty logical. Huge Pride breaks out in the mid lane. Yasuo kills the Pike. Tries to dash through everyone, ends up dying eventually, of course. Yeah, he's in way too deep. Amumu now looks like she's in trouble, and my whole team is now getting smashed in by the enemy team. They're really low HP though, and I'm respawning soon, so I'm gonna launch an ulti from downtown. It hits and kills 2 people. I think it hit like everyone there, and it kills 2 people. Now Mbessa sticks around a little bit too long, right? She should not have been clearing this. Yeah, I'm just gonna easy hop over and get the kill onto her. And that's an unofficial triple kill right there. With 2 on the ulti and 1 on the Mbessa, who overstays her welcome. Doesn't anticipate the Ezreal burst, obviously. And just goes down. Really, really nice. There we go. Finally, we're just going to go ahead and go get the mid lane tower, like so. Pike is now back in the mid lane, trying to maybe get a hook on me. I don't really care. We're just going to push in the mid lane. And the attack speed you get from your passive is pretty handy as well. He tries to go for a flash forward to get the stun on me, but he doesn't actually reach. So that just becomes a pretty embarrassing play. Dinah here has completed her Trident as her next item. Now, I'm very close to getting my Malignant. So I'm just farming this Wolf Camp, and I believe after that I should have enough for Malignants. There we go. So now I'm going to recall. And once again, me and Dinah are on par in terms of goals. It's really myself versus Dinah who can carry harder. And here I'm just going to ult straight down the mid lane. Hopefully I hit somebody with the Malignants here. And just farm a little bit of free for strike stacks. Unfortunately, hits absolutely nobody. So yeah. I mean, you could say it's a waste of the ulti. But if you look at what's happening now. My ulti is about halfway off cooldown already, right? So with Malignants, your ulti is pretty spammable, if I do say so myself. So it's not a very big deal that you kind of waste it. Yeah, I don't think it's a very big deal at all. So here, yep, next dragon is going to be spawning. It doesn't really matter though, especially because both sides already have 1 dragon. Here Yasuo charging up his tornado on the Crux, looking for a target. Doesn't really find anybody whatsoever. And here we're all kind of just grouping for Dragon. We can see a couple enemy team members over the wall grouping for Dragon as well. We're letting Poppy kind of go in first. Yasuo's not here yet, neither is Mbessa. So here I'm just trying to really enter the area. I'm trying to launch an ulti, see who I hit. Once again, it goes in between everybody, doesn't actually hit anybody. Diana has a kind of flank position there. Mbessa goes in. I hit absolutely nobody with my spells. I'm being quite useless so far. I spot Diana. I'm hopping to the opposite side of Diana because I don't want to get one shot by her. And Amumu picks up a double kill. Varus and Diana are both really low. I'm not sure why Varus is still there. Why is he not running away when he's 1 HP? But yeah, everybody dies aside from the Diana, who still has flash. So we secure the dragon, and with 4 people dead, this should be a free Baron as well. I say should because it really should, seeing as we have Amumu. But I think it's possible that Diana just jumps in with the ulti and steals the Baron. So we have to be really, really careful about that. We have 2 wards over the wall. We can see Diana on vision in the mid lane, so we should be good in terms of Diana stealing the dragon. Sorry, the Baron. But yeah, she does eventually come over. Doesn't quite get there in time, so we do secure the Baron. And we're just going to reset and pick up Stasis. Yasuo can deal with that wave. I think Stasis is paramount at this point because with the Diana being as fat as she is, she can easily one-shot me. Honestly, I believe I can easily one-shot her as well, right? But it's a question of who can one-shot the other one first, right? I think Diana has easier execution. All you gotta do is hit Q, and you can hit everything else. Whereas with Ezreal, you gotta hit W, you gotta hit Q, you gotta hit Alt. Ezreal's kit is just full skill shot, right? So he's a pretty tough champion to play in terms of just mechanics. At this point, I'm just going to outmid again. We hit the Diana, Malignance procs as well. We get off a decent amount of damage. 242 first strike, by the way. That's a huge amount. Here, once again, being a bit careful not to get one-shot by Diana. You can see we one-shot the tower. We take a bunch of damage here. Pyke is now way overextended. He goes down to me. I'm now in the middle of the entire enemy team. I have to pop the Stasis to try to survive. 1 HP, I end up killing Varus, but dying right afterwards. Eventually, I do give away the shutdown to the Varus, which is not great. However, we still put in a complete shift before we actually died. No pun intended, seeing as Ezreal it has Arcane Shift as one of his abilities. But we're able to take them out for the most part. Our team is able to take them out for the most part. Once again, it's only Diana left alive, and now we're going for Elder Dragon. So once again, we do expect a contest from Diana. Most likely, she's going to maybe try to steal it, or maybe she's going to give it. But we do have the whole area warded up. Diana's on the opposite side of the map. And honestly, in this circumstance, with the whole enemy team dead and Diana on the opposite side of the map, my team should be waiting for me to respawn so I can get the Elder Dragon as well, right? But no one does this in solo queue, right? You should be waiting for your respawning teammate to respawn so they get the buff. I mean, for Elder, because Baron, everyone gets the buff anyway. Because you're going to get more value the more people have Elder, right? Now, I have to say that even I don't do this sometimes myself when my teammate is respawning, just for fear that it will get stolen. But in the instance that it is 0% chance to get stolen, you definitely should be doing that. But I think most people don't even know they should be doing that. It's kind of really the main issue, right? It's just a lack of knowledge in the player base, right? So, I'm here just trying to spread the word. To just wait for a teammate to respawn before taking the Elder. So speaking of that, Lee Sin not going to respawn anytime soon. He gets one shot here. Now Pyke is doing just going for a split push, right? At this point you can see his team doesn't win fights, right? So he has decided to just go for a split push and try to draw pressure towards himself, right? It's kind of working. Poppy is trying to recall to deal with that Pyke. And we're just going to go ahead and go for this tower. Varus goes down as well. Now it's just Diana and Pyke left alive. Now Poppy is defending the tower. Now Pyke decides to cancel his recall and just decides to not bother. He's just going for the tower. He gets the tower with Poppy quote unquote protecting the tower, but he gets the tower. And he's now attracting the attention of 2 people while Baron is spawning, right? Yeah, so thankfully Amumu gives up the chase, and now we're gonna go ahead and go for Baron. Now at this point I'm full build. I've completed my crown and I feel a lot more safe now because with crown I don't believe Diana can one-shot me. Now the thing is that Diana also has crown, so I can't one-shot her either. So we both have this kind of same idea. We have identical builds except for Malignance and Oceanus Trident, right? Because my team is, I guess, a decent amount of shielding. Now Diana tries to go for the steal. It doesn't quite work out. We're able to get the Baron, and then she goes down, seeing as she just hopped in trying for a steal. Yasuo gets the shutdown, which is completely fine at this point because I'm full build, so I don't need the shutdown. And here we're just going to push in the wave. Baron minions are going to be coming real. So just look at this, right? one shot into the tower, boom. Just look at how much damage we can do to the next tower, right? So just to give a general idea of how like strong of a tower taker AP Ezreal is. So we're gonna put the ring onto the tower, auto attack, boom. That was like what, like 2,000 plus. Yeah. So here we had a 3-man malignance, 3-man ulti, sorry, and yeah, we killed the Pyke, and the game's won at this point. There we go. So I'm gonna leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.